We'll start off by recognizing our 9 seniors prior to tip-off on senior night. Janai Broom, Dylan Cardwell, K.D. Johnson, Chris Moore, Carter Sabera, Jalen Harper, Leor Berman, our managers, Regan McHugh, Reagan Sparks, and Chase Silvers. Um, we're going to have to get that thing started pretty soon to get the game tipped off on time. Obviously, guys that have been in the program for a long time. Janai is going to be a 2-time All-SEC performer, and he's got a chance to rack up some national awards, depending on how far we go. But the faces of these guys, Dylan Carwell or KD or Chris or Leor, are the faces of Auburn basketball. Jalen Williams also will be recognized as a graduate, and even though we recognized him last year. So it'll be an emotional start to the game, and those guys loved Auburn, and Auburn loved them, and together they got a lot done together, which is very true of the students that come to school here. Got a lot at stake in this game. We've been pretty much talking for most of the last month or so that we could finish anywhere between first and sixth. And now we find ourselves in a situation where we can finish anywhere between second and sixth. A victory would guarantee us a spot in the top 4 seeds in the double bye, and obviously keeps us in a position to have a better seed in the NCAA tournament with a victory. Georgia has, in 8 of their 11 losses in the SEC, they've been by 10 points or less. I mean, they put 90-something on Kentucky at Kentucky. They were down 20 at Florida and came back and sent it into overtime. They beat South Carolina at South Carolina. In Athens, they lost by like 5 to Tennessee. It's been a 3-point loss at Arkansas, a 1-point loss at LSU. So they're a good team. And offensively, they run really good stuff. And in Athens, we had one of our better days from a standpoint of having lost Jalen Williams, had to make a lot of changes. I thought those changes kept Georgia off balance and contributed to our victory. So I would expect Georgia to come in, with confidence, having played us even for probably about 30 minutes of that game. It really wasn't until the last 7 or 8 minutes that we pulled away. They're coming off a win against Ole Miss on Tuesday night, and we'll have to play well again to beat them.
Bruce, when you're looking at some of these guys who have a COVID year, particularly maybe somebody like KD and Dylan, have you had those conversations yet? Have you kind of started to poke around on their thoughts on that?
No, I just think we're taking this one game at a time, and we know that really only Jalen Williams and Leor Berman can't come back based on their eligibility.
Bruce, this being Jalen's last game here, and being a guy who's been here for 5 seasons, if you look back when you guys signed him, what kind of player did you think you were getting? And now 5 years later, looking back, just how he's evolved and kind of grown as a talent here.
Yeah. I don't know that I would have anticipated Jalen being a 5-year guy. From the standpoint of, I thought he could come in and be successful as a freshman because he was bouncy and could do things inside and out. But his freshman year, he came into a veteran team. And it really wasn't until either Dangel or Isaac had an injury where he was starting to get some real significant minutes as a freshman, and you went, uh-oh, this guy's going to be really good. I honestly think part of it was the way Jalen Williams was built. He's not in a rush. He loved his time at Auburn, and Auburn loved Jalen Williams' time at Auburn. And so he just never felt the pressure of having to go anywhere or do anything until he sort of felt the job was done, either with his degree or with his game. And in this day and age, it's refreshing to see that kind of loyalty.
BP, just I guess if you guys win, it'd be 13 conference wins. Only the Jabari Walker team would have more, I think, in your tenure here. What would that mean to you for this team? Did you maybe see that coming before the season with this group?
I mean, I don't know that I saw it coming in the sense that I felt like we had 11 really good players. We had really good depth. I thought we had the potential to have great chemistry because we had good kids. I thought this was a good team that had a chance to be very good. It turned out at this point to be a very good team that has a chance to be great. They have a chance to make history, which is what we talk about all the time. 13 wins would tie for the third most wins in the history of Auburn basketball in the SEC with a couple of other teams. It would be the second best regular season that we've had in the last 10 years. But you can't reflect right now because there's a Georgia Bulldog team that's standing in our way that's playing really well. Our focus is obviously trying to make history, but also it's March, and we've got to be playing our best basketball with what we need to do defensively and how we share it offensively.
Bruce, with Janai's kind of development this year, when you guys got him, he was primarily back to the basket, guy at Morehead State. Now he's shooting over 40% from deep. He's been a good distributor this year. I guess my question is just how much did you see him kind of put that work in from the beginning of the year to kind of be like more of a, I guess, modern big man and be such a key piece to your offense inside and out?
Yeah, Janai Broome has had an amazing college career in the sense of starting at the mid-major level, a very competitive Ohio Valley Morehead State program, extremely well coached, and checking off all the boxes he could possibly check off at that level. And then next step is really being willing to trust us. And there's a trust between our coaching staff and Janai's family and our staff, and Janai and his teammates. They trust him. And he comes in his first year, he's all conference. We have a 10-point lead over the number 2 team in the country to advance to the NCAA tournament in Houston. And he has a really good year. Could go pro, decides to come back, and starts the league in the conversation of one of the better centers returning. I think he's the best center in our league. There's some other really good centers. And becomes one of the better centers in the country. Those are some boxes to check. He's put the time in. He's done it on both ends of the floor. And I think his game translates to the next level because he can do it inside and out. And he's got the mental makeup of a pro.
Bruce, I wanted to ask about Aiden. You mentioned it a little bit after the Mizzou game that you think he had a good defensive game. Where have you seen him grow most defensively from game 1 to game 30?
Aiden is using his quickness, and he's using his basketball IQ, and he's tapped into his years of work and success. It is hard for freshmen to come in at this level and run a top 20 team night in and night out. I'm really proud of him for how hard he's worked. Again, the progress that he's made. And he's a guy you have to game plan for. I mean, if you don't guard him, he will make you pay. And then at the same time, defensively, he has learned the terminology. He's bought into the defensive system. He's got an understanding of what we're trying to do. And physically, he's gotten stronger, but he's used his quickness to be able to beat guys to spots and not get lined up as much as young guards tend to do, especially in this league.
You had talked a few weeks ago about Denver kind of wanting to get him more shots a game. Now it seems like last few games he kind of gets double figures almost every night. How has that kind of impacted Jaw's offense, and have you liked what you've seen from him on the offensive end?
Man, Denver's been tremendous. I mean, Denver is one of our most valuable players. He has consistently been one of our best defenders, and he's taken that to heart. Denver is a scorer, and he on a team that didn't have the balance that we have, he'd be a 20-point night. He'd be a 20-point a night guy. Denver's actually got a future at point guard because I can put the ball in his hands. He can make plays for himself or others. He's a three-way scorer. He's a huge part of why this team has had success. And he's playing his best basketball right now.
Chris, we talked about this a little bit before the Missouri game, but what does it say about this league and kind of just from top to bottom how it can be when you play a team like Georgia who had lost like 9 out of 10, and then they come back and get that win, and like you said earlier, you're going to have to play a pretty good game to beat them. I mean, what does that say about this group, that a team that, towards the bottom of the conference can still come in here and give you a really competitive game, kind of like Missouri did on Tuesday?
Well, the two guys that finished 1-2 last year in the Coach of the Year were at Vanderbilt and Missouri last year. And look at where their team is. Look at where their teams are right now. It's a function of the league, not them. Those are great coaches. Coach Gates and Coach Stackhouse are great coaches. You look at where Arkansas is right now, and playing really well. Like right now, Arkansas, they're offensively playing great again, like Coach Musselman's teams have done late. Mike White's had nothing but success everywhere he's been, and he's kept this roster together, and they're playing good. They're playing good basketball. So I think the depth of our league is what has been. It's what, like for example, I think has made Tennessee's championship so significant. You win the regular season in this year, you've accomplished something. We can finish in the top 4 in the SEC this year, we will have accomplished something.